The resurgence of an old enemy has plunged the world into crisis. Their mastery of CKAN technology and their dominating air power has made it hard to counter their attacks. The CKAN Space Center is under attack, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. What will the Alliance do now that the Space Center is out of commission? This is Echo 3, and let's continue discussing the Cold War. Even though the Space Center is heavily damaged, there is a base nearby that has remained unscathed. A new aircraft, developed in the utmost secrecy, might be just the answer to the fascist dominance in the air, because it's hard to hit what you can't see. The K-117 uses the latest in stealth technology and is able to approach the enemy's main base and supply hub without being detected. Now, combining stealth technology with precision-guided GPS bombs, this one aircraft should be more effective than if dozens of conventional bombers had been sent to hit this target. At the start of the invasion, the Communists were already in a war with their southern neighbor, while the Central Kerbin Alliance Network was involved in various conflicts and policing actions all around the globe. And immediately preceding the invasion, the enemy was able to trick the Communists into sending attacking forces against CKAN's Space Center. With the militaries of the major powers spread out and weakened by war, the enemy knew that now is the right time to resurface and make their attack. However, not everything is going as planned for them. Communist ground forces were able to mobilize quickly, and even with few troops and tanks available, the more experienced Communist army was able to hold its ground against the enemy's advance. The first two bombs scored direct hits. That's 2 CKAN-powered saucers taken out of commission. The saucers seem to be their primary means of transporting equipment from the Mun down to Kerbin. Destroying those saucers then means that the enemy will have a harder time keeping this base supplied. On this second pass, the Nighthawk is attempting to hit the tanks and planes parked near the runway. Everything the Nighthawk destroys today can't be used in battle tomorrow. It looks like the bombs caused some secondary explosions, possibly putting this entire airfield out of commission. This is a huge win for the Central Kerbin Alliance Network and the forces defending Kerbin. The pilot, whose identity is unknown, but whose call sign is Bandit 1, will have some excellent news to deliver when he gets home. The saucers, while powerful, don't appear to be very numerous. Destroying those 2 on the tarmac is a significant blow against their firepower and transportation capacity. Combined with the damage done to their supply base on Kerbin, the fascists will struggle to continue offensive operations. Observations indicate that there is still one more saucer in orbit around the planet. If the Space Center is then able to weaponize one of their shuttles, they may just have a chance to destroy that third saucer. The shuttle used on the last mission to Duna is probably the best choice for this mission, but in addition to weapons, the shuttle got an armor upgrade as well. Many of the aluminum parts were switched out for titanium. Hopefully, this will protect the craft well enough against the saucer's laser that the shuttle can get some shots off and destroy the saucer. Jebediah and Bill have volunteered for this dangerous mission. They are a couple of the most experienced, most capable Kerbinauts on the entire planet. Other pilots, like Johnny, Dee, and even Victor, have more military experience, but Jebediah and Bill are far more experienced with spacecraft. Besides the addition of armament and armor, the shuttle had its science and passenger sections removed and replaced with one giant payload bay. This allows for the addition of a radar, more reaction wheels and battery storage, and more ammo storage. The launch has been timed so that the shuttle will meet up with the saucer within its first orbit. Already, the 2 crafts are just over 100 kilometers apart, but in order to engage each other, they will need to be much closer. Intelligence indicates that the lasers on the saucer have a range of around 5 kilometers. Unfortunately for Jebediah and Bill, the max effective range of their cannons is only 4.5 kilometers. Therefore, it is likely that the enemy will get the first shot off. Hopefully, the added armor on the shuttle will help. If Jebediah and Bill are unable to succeed, it is unlikely that any rescue attempt could be made. The saucer would still pose too much of a threat, and there's no chance of a crash landing if you're already in a stable orbit. Bill has already plotted the intercept course, and Jebediah is ready to make the burn. The added mass of the weapons and extra armor has greatly reduced the shuttle's delta V, but there should be plenty for making maneuvers in low Kerbin orbit. Jebediah now makes the burn. This will get the two crafts within 7.5 kilometers of each other. That's not quite within weapons range, so some additional maneuvering is in order. The crew will wait till the two crafts are much closer before they start making their adjustment burns. The saucer and shuttle are now less than 20 kilometers apart and can easily detect each other with their radars. Many years ago, CKAN had done experimentation with missiles that would work in the vacuum of space. Unfortunately, those didn't work out very well. And since the issue wasn't pressing, little additional research has been conducted on those. And besides, with the enemy's laser technology, it is unlikely that the missiles would have a good chance of hitting anyway. So the shuttle will just be using good old reliable bullets shot out of an autocannon. Jebediah continues to work on vectoring the craft in for a very close approach. Now, with a few slight adjustments, Jebediah is able to get a closest approach within 3 kilometers of the saucer. That is well within the effective range of his cannons. The distance between the two crafts is decreasing rapidly. Soon, they will be within weapons range of each other. Bill now activates the shuttle's radar in order to get a good lock onto the saucer. The turrets are set to fire at the radar contact. In just a few seconds, they'll be within firing range. Jebediah maneuvers the shuttle in order to accelerate. As he turns to adjust his course, the saucer fires its lasers. The shuttle is damaged, but Bill is able to return fire. Both crafts are damaged, but the fighting continues. Frantically, Bill continues to spray bullets at the saucer. Even though the saucer is heavily damaged, its lasers continue to slice through the shuttle. The right side wing is now completely destroyed. This is looking more and more like a one-way mission. Is that it? Did they defeat the saucer? Bill is not picking up any more radar contacts. Wait, what's this? The saucer has one last burst of energy in it. With that last shot, the second wing is now completely gone. The two crafts have pulverized each other. At this point, Jebediah and Bill are in orbit around Kerbin with no engines and no wings. But they still have their RCS thrusters and a little bit of monopropellant. At their apoapsis, they attempt to decelerate. There should be just enough monoprop left to get their periapsis inside of Kerbin's atmosphere. Ground Control and D.D. Kerman both express their concern for the situation. Jebediah tells everyone not to worry. He is still flying half a ship. While Jebediah's confidence is great, Bill, as an engineer, does not feel very reassured. It looks like they had just enough monopropellant left to get their periapsis down to around 60 kilometers. 2 solar panels managed to survive the engagement, so they're able to keep their battery charge up. Perhaps the craft has just enough lifting surface and just enough power in its reaction wheels that a water landing just might be possible. And the shuttle still has its 2 parachutes. Originally, the chutes were added to the craft to help it slow down when it landed on Duna. It is very fortuitous that the engineers left those on. By holding a high angle of attack, the shuttle, or what's left of it, has been able to slow down in Kerbin's atmosphere. But will the crew be able to slow down sufficiently in order to make a safe landing? If they determine that that's not possible, they could jump out and use their personal parachutes to jump down to safety. But they'll have to slow down to subsonic speeds before that's even a possibility. What's left of the craft is surprisingly stable and controllable. Jebediah confidently reminds everyone that he's got this, that everything's going to be okay. Now, after all these missions together, Bill is starting to believe him. As the craft now descends below 20 kilometers, it is traveling less than 1,000 meters per second. As the craft descends below 10 kilometers, the control surfaces become more effective. Bill quickly transfers as much fuel to the back of the craft. Hopefully, that will help just enough with maneuverability. As the craft descends down to 2,000 meters, its surface speed drops down to just 100 meters per second. But the real test is vertical speed. Can Jebediah slow that down enough to keep the shuttle intact? At 300 meters, Bill deploys the chutes, and it's enough. Thanks to Bill and Jeb's daring attack on the saucer in orbit, it has given the Alliance another opportunity. Now is the best chance to strike the fascist assembly area on the Mun. And the Alliance has just the weapon for the counterattack. Their brand new M1 tank. The Communists have already proven that the fascist tanks are vulnerable. So if the Alliance then can send a couple heavily armored vehicles to the Mun's surface, they may be able to hit the fascists where they least expect it. But now is probably the best opportunity before the enemy sends more reinforcements. Just like the shuttle attack against the saucer in orbit, the chance of success may not be very high, but there is a chance. And the Alliance leadership thinks that the potential for success far outweighs the risk. And it just so happens there's enough rocket parts available to get this contraption into orbit. The upper stage should have enough delta V and thrust-to-weight ratio to get the tanks from low Mun orbit to the surface of the Mun safely. It looks like this is really happening. The Alliance is sending M1 tanks to the surface of the Mun to fight fascists armed with lasers. I am Echo 3, and thanks for joining me on this discussion about the Cold War. I will see you next time.